Our track walk this week comes from Teutschenthal in Germany. It's the 16th and final round of the 2012 FIM MX1 MX2 Motocross World Championship. And here we are down at turn 1. Now, this Teutschenthal circuit has quite a unique start straight actually, because when the riders are behind the gate, they can't actually see from where they're sat the entry point into this first turn. And as you can see, it drops away pretty severely as well. So the guys on the inside, they have the advantage. And as they hold a tight line, the guys from the middle and the outside, as they're carrying a little bit more speed, they tend to run wide. They get forced wide, maybe through the green fencing there. But then, of course, we have a slight bit of bottleneck going through turn 2. And in turn 3, the next right-hander, we always have problems through there. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see the same again on Sunday. We're about 2/3 of the way around this Teutschenthal circuit here in Teutschenthal. And as you've seen by now, the riders working their way through the valley on both sides of the circuit. And obviously great for the spectators. But to get out of this valley part of the racetrack, they do so by coming out of the tight right there, down through the dip, and then through this left-hander onto the plateau. And what used to happen in the past here was the riders then would hit flat out straight, 6th gear, maybe 5th gear, downhill about 150 meters, right through the dip and then up over the Monster Energy tabletop behind me. But now, in order to slow it down, what we have is a step down here about 15-20 meters, which means coming out of here you have to be a bit more precise, select a decent gear, get up on the pegs and do everything right to get that jump right just behind me. But obviously right in front of one of the main spectator areas here, it's going to be quite interesting here on the racetrack this weekend, certainly spectacular. That's it for our track walk here at the Teutschenthal circuit in Teutschenthal, Germany, the final round of this year's FIM MX1 Motocross World Championship. Of course, both championships already decided. Tony Cairoli now a 6-time world champion. Jeffrey Hurling's a first-time winner in MX2. Those titles wrapped up 2 weeks ago in Faenza, but there's still a lot to play for. Jake Nichols can go for 4th place, but he's got Jordi Tixier behind him, just 8 points behind, in fact, in that MX2 chase for that 4th place. And of course in MX1, Gauthier Paulin and Christophe Pourcel fighting over that 3rd and final podium position. So don't miss any of the action. Make sure you watch it all this weekend here, the final round of the 2012 season. It should be a great one, and the atmosphere here this weekend should be absolutely fantastic as well. So enjoy your weekend.
Tommy Searle nochmal zeigen, wo der Hammer hängt, der hier der wahre World Champion ist.
Ja, die Fahrer stehen jetzt alle am Startblatt, da wird die Brille nochmal zurechtgerückt, da wird nochmal ordentlich der Unterarm durchgeklopft, sehe ich hier gerade, nochmal die letzten kleinen Dehnübungen gemacht und jetzt haben wir schon 20 Sekunden.
The final round of the FIM MX2 Motocross World Championship kicked into life at Teutschenthal. First 3 places already guaranteed. Jeffrey Hurling's Tommy Searle and Jeremy Van Hoorbeek. The battle still very much on for 4th though. In the opening moto it was Elliot Banks-Brown who took the early lead ahead of Tommy Searle, but he messed up coming out of a corner and lost the lead to Tommy Searle. He then came under pressure from the likes of Zach Osborne and the 911 of Jordi Tixier. Tixier ahead of Jake Nichols at this stage, but on lap 3 or 4, Hurlings went out. And that was him done from 5th position. Fortunately for him, the championship was already decided. Zach Osborne went through on Elliot Banks-Brown, and that was for 2nd place. And shortly after that, the Brit's luck ran out, and Elliot Banks-Brown was forced to retire after a blown engine, robbing him of his best ever race finish. Tommy Searle, though, went on to win from Zach Osborne, Tixier, Nichols and Tellier. MX2 race 2. Jake Nichols got off to the perfect start on the Nissan JM Racing KTM. He pulled the whole shot and led for 3 laps. Tommy Searle eventually went through on him though. So too did Jeffrey Hurlings, but it was a good battle shaping up in the early stages of the race. Nichols made a mistake coming onto the plateau in front of the main spectator area. Tommy Searle taking the opportunity and pushing Nichols back into 2nd. A lap or so later, and Jeffrey Hurlings got good drive around the outside, set himself up perfectly and ran down the inside of the Nissan rider and into 2nd position. And we thought there was going to be a battle then between Tommy Searle and Jeffrey Hurlings for one last time, but it didn't really materialise. Searle eventually pulling clear. Tonus then moved up into 3rd place ahead of Jake Nichols, and it wasn't long before Zach Osborne, the 2nd of the Monster Energy Yamahas, also followed suit, and he moved into 4th. Jake Nichols, though, in 5th. That was going to be good enough for him to take 4th in the championship. It was a double race win in the overall, though, for Tommy Searle in his last ever MX2 Grand Prix. Podium looked like that then. Monster Energy Whitewash, Tommy Searle, Zach Osborne and Arnold Tonus. In MX1 Race 1, Cairoli and DeSalle guaranteed first and second in the championship, but the battle for third very much on between Gauthier Paulin and Christophe Pourcel. There was a big crash coming out of turn 1 that took Sean Simpson, Jonathan Barragan, Greg Aranda and one or two others. But up front, Max Nagel led from Tony Cairoli and Ken Roxon. Those two Red Bull KTM riders going at it bar to bar. They started to close in on Max Nagel as well, and then Roxon stalled and lost a couple of positions to Tony Cairoli and Clement DeSalle. Tony Cairoli then whipped his way into the lead, passing Max Nagel, who then a couple of laps later lost his rear wheel and took a whole load of fencing with him as well, and that dropped him down to 7th place by the time the checkered flag fell. Tony Cairoli, though, was alone up front. DeSalle eventually got himself into second, was being caught by Roxon, and then he fell, losing the front end coming out of one of the right-hand turns going downhill. Everything settled down after that. It was Cairoli from Clement DeSalle, Ken Roxon. Gauthier Paulin had a lonely ride in 4th with Ken de Dijker down in 5th. Good ride for Xavier Bourg coming from 18th to 9th, but Cairoli the winner in race 1. MX1 race 2, the gate fell. We're on board with Tanel Leok, who didn't get a good jump, unlike the two Red Bull KTMs of Tony Cairoli and Max Nagel. And it was Tony Cairoli who breezed into the lead, and that's how it pretty much stayed for him. Ken Roxon was second for every lap, but the battle really was for third between Max Nagel and Clement DeSalle. The two guys trading bars and places on more than one occasion throughout the 20-lap affair. DeSalle wasn't afraid to run it down the inside of Nagel, nor too was Nagel afraid to close the door on the Belgian. Eventually that was a pass though that guaranteed Max Nagel third place in the race, but sadly it wasn't enough for him to finish overall on the podium after his crash in moto number 1. But Clement DeSalle tried though throughout the entire moto to find a way through, but it would not prevail. Clement DeSalle was in 4th position then, so Gauthier Paulin was 5th. Genny Bobryshev was 6th in what was quite a static race in the end, but Tony Cairoli went on to clinch another double race win, 21 race wins in a season. And he won the overall Grand Prix as well. Ken Roxon was 2nd overall, Clement DeSalle 3rd. And of course Tony Cairoli, crowned world champion a couple of weeks ago, also picked up his gold medals here and his gold plate. Dr. Wolfgang Schrupp on hand as usual. Cairoli riding with a slight hand injury actually from an incident in practice on Saturday. The overall podium though for the championship, Cairoli, DeSalle, Paulin.